All right, what's good? What's good? What's going on, people? What the fuck? Hold on. This shit with the microphone's getting on my goddamn nerves, man. Let me see. Audio. All right, cool. So what's going on, people? What's going on? So let's talk about the travel community online or the lack thereof. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the so-called black travel community, which is a goddamn shame. You know? Oh, but by the way, before I move on, I would like to say happy Saturnalia, happy day of Mithra, disguised as Merry Christmas, because, for those of you who celebrate this pagan holiday season, happy so called holidays, For those of you who are more knowledgeable and in the know, you already know. You already know there's no sun worshiping on this side. There's no sun worshiping here. Anyway, what's up? What's going on, everybody? Anyhow. So let's talk about the travel community online for a minute, or you could say the tricking community online, tricking overseas community online, right? Because like a while ago, I made a statement about why I don't really support the passport bro community anymore, and I got a little flack about that, right? Which is all right, that's cool, right? But the thing is that there's things that's going on right now in the travel community, which actually coincide with my criticisms of the passport bro community. Now, and I'll explain how. Okay, what up, Ayo? What up? All right, so I'm gonna tell you what happened, Ayo. So there's a guy named Floyd, a famous content creator in the black travel space, right? His YouTube channel go by the name Foreign Only, but his real name is Floyd Wallace, right? Let me show you this nigga's page. Hold on. Hold on for a minute. Because a lot of you guys probably remember this motherfucker. Right? So recently in Brazil, because this guy was in Brazil, he was arrested in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and accused of some heinous acts, right? That deals with um trafficking, like trafficking of minors, and possibly having uh child porn material, right? Let me show you this guy's channel. Oh, yeah, that motherfucker's done. Oh shit. It's been so long that I've been on goddamn it's been so long that I've been on StreamYard that I see this updated version and I'm trying to get accustomed to this. Yeah, share screen. Okay, yeah. All right. This guy right here. This dude right here. All right. Some of you guys in the space remember this individual when he first got viral a couple of years ago, where he made a video hugging up with this chubby Thai chick when he was in Thailand, and talking about how how complaining about how American females are no longer traditional, so therefore he uses passports to go overseas to find traditional females. And then he like I said, he was hugging up this chubby chai chick with some dookie braids on her hair. Back in my day, we call them dookie braids, but braid extensions, with some big hula hoop earrings, looking like she's from South Central Los Angeles. And he asked the girl, "Can you cook?" And then she done this Thai chick twirl her neck like she's some black chick talking about, "I can cook, I can clean." Remember that shit, right? Yeah. So recently, police arrested him in Brazil for, like I said before, for allegedly trafficking of minors and allegedly having um possession of child porn material. And he's been accused of other things also, right? Related to that part. And the thing is that, yeah, exactly. You got to go to another country for some kitty cat. And this is the thing, right? A lot of people within the travel space are basically, they're doing one of two things. They're doing two things, right? A, they're condemning his actions, which I can respect. And but what they also doing at the same time is trying to do damage control to try to in attempt to save the image of the passport bro movement, in which you cannot do that. You cannot utilize this as damage control to try to save the image of the passport bro movement, because it was the passport bro movement that attracted individuals like this guy. Okay? Why? Because the passport bro movement, or better yet, the overall black travel space, for the most part, it seems as if the only thing they promote when it comes to traveling is having relations with females overseas, right? Now, the thing is that I'm not saying that they, like, personally, I don't find anything wrong with males in America dating females from overseas. I don't find anything wrong with males in America having relationships with people with females overseas. You know, you have the right to have relationships with anybody that you want, so long as they're a consenting adult, right? But if you create an entire movement online in which the only thing that you seem to promote is mingling with females overseas, then what you're creating is an image of sex tourism. And when you do that, you are going to attract some very nefarious people like this individual. Why? Because you're promoting filth. And whenever you create a movement or a community or some sort of group that promotes filth, likewise, you're going to attract filthy people. People who, like this individual, because I believe this individual is mentally unstable, right? Right? You know, I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's the truth. Especially when it comes to people like him, because mentally unstable people will not be accepted in any sort of circles or communities where there's a standard and actual principles are actually enforced. Because people like, people who are mentally unstable don't have, they don't have, the rationale or like the common sense to act right for the most part, right? No disrespect to those who suffer from mental illness, but that's the truth, especially when it comes to a lot of people online. They're not going to be accepted in circles where standards are enforced and principles are enforced, because people like this guy who are mentally ill, they don't really have they don't really have the social skills or even the rationality to respect boundaries and to have common sense and act right. So they don't get accepted into these types of circles. So where they go to circles where filth is promoted, because where filth is promoted, guess what? Principles are not being enforced, right? Standards are not being enforced. It's like anyone can be accepted in. And that's the case with the so-called black travel space / passport broke community of today. right? With the passport bro community and the so-called black travel space of today, you would be anybody can be accepted so long as this person is showing off some old crackhead looking prostitutes in Dominican Republic, uh, 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 Colombia, Brazil, Thailand, and what have you. This is what's going on. And this person, right, was embraced within the so-called black travel space on the internet, especially on YouTube. He was embraced. Not only was he embraced and accepted by the so-called black travel space slash passport bro community on YouTube, he was also financially supported, as a lot of people within that travel space financed his trips overseas as they gave him donations via cash apps and uh what's that, super chats on YouTube, financing his trips overseas for he can go to different parts of Latin America and Southeast Asia for so he could mess around with some prostitutes. But now allegedly he's been, like I said before, arrested for, trafficking minors and doing other shit with minors. But once again, the root of this problem when it comes to these types of individuals is that the filth that the traveling space on YouTube promote attract these types of individuals and influence these individuals like him to go out in these other countries and engage in the same dirt that people within the passport bro space and other aspects of the traveling community conducting. But then people like him and others, especially being that they're, you know, not right mentally, they don't understand boundaries. So they don't have an issue to actually go further and turn things up a notch and start doing more sinister things and more nefarious things like allegedly messing with children. But it all stems. Let me shut this shit down. Let me see. Yeah. But the thing is, the root of that stems from the so-called passport bro community slash travel community promoting, you know, only utilizing it seems as if they're utilizing or creating content only promoting the idea of males in America having their sexual escapades with females from overseas. See, that's where all this bullshit stems from. The root of the problem when it comes to people like that individual that I showed on screen is him being influenced and being attracted to the passport bro community who seemingly only utilize their content to promote the idea of males in America having their sexual escapades with females overseas. Therefore, when people like that individual that I just showed gets caught gets caught by police out in Brazil doing some nefarious things, what happens as a result is that it further destroys the image of the black traveling sector slash passport bro community. Why? Because basically the travel sector in the passport bro community promote the same thing. Well, I may not go as far as to say promote messing around with children, but they do promote debauchery. They do promote that debauchery, perversion. You know, going overseas and flying halfway around the world and paying all this money for round trip plane tickets to other countries just for so they can have access to some box. And the thing is that there was a time where I used to support the passport bro movement. I was never a member of the passport bro movement. Nah. But I used to support the passport bro movement nonetheless. Because my black ass was stupid enough to think that the passport bro movement promote things that was more than that. I used to be dumb enough to think that the passport bro movement truly support the idea of males in America, especially so-called black males in America, exploring the world, exploring other cultures, exploring different sights and sounds, and utilizing travel to expand the ways of thinking of black males to show them that there's more to the world than the inner city ghettos of the United States. To show them how big the world is, to show them how endless the possibilities are when it comes to whatever goal that you want to accomplish in life. I was stupid enough to think that the passport bro movement truly support these principles, right? But then when I would watch more and more content from those who claim to be members of the passport bro movement, it seems as if the only thing that they promoted, most of them, not all of them, it seems to me that the only thing that the majority of the passport bro movement um glamorized and promoted was going overseas and messing around with different females. What's up? What's up, guys? What's up? Oh, what's going on? What's going on, bro? You keep changing your name, but what's going on? Brewski? I don't know, Broski. No. What up? What up, Ted Matrix? What's going on? So going back to what I was saying, right? It seems as if the only thing that the majority of the passport bro movement or the overall black traveling sector would promote are males going overseas just to mess with females. And the thing is, I'm against that because not because I'm necessarily against people having relationships with other females, but I'm saying that that's the only thing you promote. I'm like, there's more to traveling the world than just messing around with females. I'm like, what about actually fulfilling your love of exploration? What about fulfilling your love of actually um exposing yourself to different cultures, to seeing different sights and sounds? Now, I'm not saying to not date at all when it comes to when it comes to mingling with females overseas, because I'm not dumb. If you're a male and you're single, if you're an adult male and you're single and you travel somewhere and you happen to find a female that you guys get into a conversation, there's chemistry involved. Okay, the natural thing to do, you might get together and date. I'm not necessarily against that, but what I am against are people who making it who seems based on their content that traveling should who only promote the idea of traveling just for so they engage with females. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Yeah, they fuck it up for everyone. But Kevin Kelly, this is a partial response to a video that you made a while back. You know, out of respect though, out of respect, Kevin Kelly, because Kevin Kelly, you made a video disagreeing with something that I and Third Ward Colombian stated on another panel when we was talking about people traveling overseas for some box. My thing is that the reason why once again, I'm sorry to repeat myself. My thing is that the reason why I no longer support the passport bro movement is that based on their content, it seems as though the only thing that they promote when it comes to traveling is to mingle with females when there's more to traveling than just as females. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm against males in America dating females from overseas. No. What I am saying is that if you're traveling, if you're a young man or middle age, well, if you're a male, adult male traveling overseas, the dating and the female part should just be one piece of an overall traveling pie. There's many different aspects you could benefit from when you travel the world. It should not only be regulated to just travel for females, because if that's the case, right? If you're only going overseas just to mingle with females, right? My thing is that what's the difference? What makes you any different from the average simp? And the reason why I'm saying that, if you're traveling overseas just for some box, once again, my thing is what makes you any different than the average simp? And the reason why I'm stating this is because simps, when you look at the mindset of a simp, they revolve things around what's in between the female's legs, right? So if you're traveling to another country solely to mess around with females, then you're revolving traveling with what's in between the female's legs. You're utilizing that. You're traveling overseas with the same way of thinking that a simp has. Yeah, you're revolving things around what's in between the female's legs. And what I'm saying is that, dude, there's way more to the world than what's in between the female's legs. Now, am I saying don't mess around with females? No. What I'm saying is that there's more to traveling than just its females. That's all I'm saying. Now we good, Kevin Kelly. We good. I don't have a problem with someone disagreeing with what I'm saying. I don't take issues with whenever a person has a counter argument to what I'm saying. You know, I'm not one of these people. Yeah, I'm not one of these people on YouTube that take that shit personal. Right, right. Yeah, they have no goal to look at traveling landmarks, you know, or exposing themselves to different cultures. They're just walking around looking for some crackhead bitches over there, man. And I'm literally saying crackhead bitches because when you look at a lot of the content of these so-called passport bros or members of the traveling space, and when you see the types of prostitutes that they have in their videos, a lot of them look like drug addicts, man. Listen, listen. I'm from New York City, right? And unfortunately, growing up in New York City, you're exposed around a lot of drug addicts. All right. Especially if you came from the era of New York City that I came from, which was the 80s and 90s. Right. So thus, you can look at a person's mannerisms and their body language and you can tell whether or not they're drug addicts. So when I look at, the types of females that these guys who travel to DR or Colombia or Brazil that they're hanging with, I look at these females' mannerisms and I'm like, yo, these people are drug addicts, man. And as you know, if you study, prostitution, if you study, the history of prostitution, historically speaking, well, this is the case in America, and I'm sure it might be the case in these other countries. A large percentage of prostitutes are drug addicts and use prostitution as a way for so they can get money to buy drugs. And it seems to be the case overseas because, yo, like I said, a lot of these chicks that these dudes be having on video, they look like a bunch of crackheads. But overall, right, back to what I'm saying is that when there's an entire when a person creates an entire online community that's supposed to be about black males traveling to other parts of the world, but within that community they only promote black males traveling just to mingle with females. Basically, when you promote flying to other countries for some pussy, you're going to attract some nefarious people like Floyd Wallace, also known as foreign only. Therefore, right, when you have like scandals like this guy getting arrested in Brazil for allegedly trafficking minors and possibly having corn material with him having intercourse with minors, this further destroys the reputation of that online community that embraced him. When you got, when you have an entire online community that just promote the aspect of flying to other countries for some pussy, you will attract these types of individuals. So the root cause of these types of scandals, right, is that there's an entire community on the internet that promotes flying overseas for some kitty cat, which attracts them, which influences them to do some bullshit like this, man. Whenever you have a group, organization, circle, spheres, spaces that don't have or don't promote standards, principles, and just overall doing the right thing, you're going to attract some bad people. And when these bad people get caught and exposed for doing dirt, it's going to reflect. It's going to reflect right back to the organization, group, spheres, circles, spaces that they're affiliated with. Because 9 times out of 10, the organization, group, spheres, spaces, circles that they're affiliated with probably engages in the same thing. And that's the case with the Passport Bro movement slash black traveling sector on YouTube. And you know who I and you know what? And you know what? Rest in peace. Rest in peace to Charles Tyler, man. Rest in peace, man. Because all these niggas who go overseas and travel strictly for some box are actually spitting on the grave of Charles Tyler. For those of you guys who don't know who Charles Tyler is basically one of the first content was one of the first content creators who came on YouTube and promoted the idea of black males traveling to other parts of the country as he no other excuse me other parts of the world. I'm sorry, my mistake. As he would do the same thing. And he especially put the spotlight in Brazil because he loved Brazil. And he even promoted the idea of African American males opening up their dating options and opening up the idea of dating females from other countries, right? I'll get to your comments in a minute, right? I got to finish making this point. But the thing is that Charles Tyler, right? You know, what he promoted when he was alive, he promoted African American males or males in America having, um, excuse me, having long-term or committed relationships and or marriages with females overseas. He was not promoting the idea of people traveling overseas just for some box. But nonetheless, he was basically what you can call the progenitor of the traveling space on YouTube. And when he was alive and was, and created his content, when he spoke about traveling, he spoke about way more than just the females overseas. Yeah, he did shed light on the females overseas and, you know, and how they're more traditional, supposedly, blah, blah, blah. But he spoke about other things, such as the cultures of other countries. Especially, he spoke about the culture in Brazil. He spoke about the landmarks and the history of of different countries around the world. And then he also spoke about things pertaining to financial literacy. Things such as investing in. He was one of the first black males on the YouTube that talked about investing in cryptocurrency. He was talking about investing in the stock market because he was engaged in these things, right? He had other successful black males who spoke about investing in real estate. He spoke about, being he was one of the first people who actually brought to black YouTube being a digital nomad and working remotely while living in other countries, right? So he was speaking about, he was promoting the idea of black males being productive members of society, doing something productive with their lives, and then traveling overseas to enjoy themselves, and then opening up their dating options to travel to dating females overseas. He was not promoting this bullshit about unemployed niggas begging motherfuckers online to provide donations for them so they could go to other countries and mess with prostitutes. He was actually entirely against that. But unfortunately, Charles Tyler passed away in, I think, 2018, either 2018 or 2019. He passed away in Brazil, died of heart failure. And I think he was in his late 40s. He was either 48 or 49. He was in his late 40s. And he unfortunately passed away. And what was even worse is that, because he had a weight problem, he had health issues, but he was losing weight also. Last time I checked, he was losing weight, but he ended up passing away of heart failure, regardless, you know, which was a sad day because he was a good dude, man. But during that time, right? During that time, when Charles Tyler was around, a lot of the black male haters who hated what Charles Tyler was promoting, which is black males, which is partially the things that Charles Tyler was partially promoting, like I said before, was black males opening their dating options and looking to date and having serious relationships with females from other countries. These black male haters was putting this sex tourist label on Charles Tyler to try to assassinate his character and um to try to defame what he was trying the message that he was trying to send to black males. So while Charles Tyler was alive and making his content, he would constantly have to battle or fight against the 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 stereotype of him promoting sex tourism. He would have to constantly battle that. So it's ironic to see that after this man's death, that you got so many black males engaging in the same activity that he was fighting against while he was alive. It's a goddamn shame. But nonetheless, when you look at, once again, like I said before, when it comes to these types of scandals, like what's going on with Floyd, aka Travel Only, the root cause of this situation is because the Passport Bro movement, the root cause of his situation, or the root cause of why his situation is further destroying the image of the Passport Bro movement, is because the Passport Bro movement and the filth that they promote attract guys like Floyd. Thus, whenever a person of that ilk are attracted to involve themselves in that type of group, whichever scandal that they get involved with will reflect it will reflect the reputation of the group that they're involved with. It's crazy, man. And now you got individuals right within that space who allege that Floyd, aka Foreign Only, was not a member of the Passport Bro movement, and even condemn being a member of the Passport Bro movement. But and they only did it for the purpose of trying to bring damage control to the movement and trying to save the image of the movement. But what I have to say about that is that it's a day late and a dollar short. It's a day late and a dollar short because regardless, at one point in time, the movement embraced this person and supported and financially donated to this individual for so he can go overseas and mess around with prostitutes, man, in these other countries. And on this person's channel, there's years worth of content of him going around and mingling with and talking and bragging about messing around with prostitutes. So whether or not Floyd verbally stated that he is no longer a member of the Passport Bro movement. Whether or not that's true, the fact of the matter is he's no different than the average Passport Bro because they're all doing dirt anyway. That's just like, no, that's just like a nigga, right? Let's just say, excuse my language. That's just like a person born and raised in the inner city, sells dope in his own community, shoot and kill people and rob people within his own community, got arrested for these things. But then you got a member of a gang talking about, well, that person was not a gang member. Well, whether he's a gang member or not, his activities are no different than the gang member activities because they engage in the same motherfucking thing. So regardless, they're still going to be placed in the same category. And that's the case with Floyd and the Passport Bro movement. Because when you read up on different articles around the world when it comes to this scandal with Floyd, a lot of the articles speak about the Passport Bro movement online that Floyd is or either was affiliated with. And nonetheless, Floyd and the Passport Bro movement are going to be placed in the same category because y'all engage in the same activity. So, in essence, whether Floyd denied being the Passport Bro member or not, you guys are no different from each other, man. And when I say same activity, what I mean is going overseas and engaging in debauchery and only promoting debauchery overseas. And I would not be surprised if there are more members of the Passport Bro movement or overall black traveling spaces who are going to be exposed for messing around with fucking children. You know? Let me get to the comments. What up? He said, I may have a passport, but I refuse to be a passport bro. Besides, I'm currently with someone right now, and I didn't have to go overseas to search for love. Exactly. They fuck it up for everyone. Yes, they do. Said, they ain't got no cultural landmarks or nothing, just bitches. Yeah, I highlighted that comment already. Kevin Kelly said, I used to support the idea of the movement, but I started speaking against them after seeing some of them, after seeing the things some of them do. Yeah, right. I recognize the Trojan horse like effect. Yeah, yeah. What up, Bronzebird? What up? Yeah. All right, but that's all I have to say about that in regards to that. That's all I have to say. All right, so you guys have a good day or good night from wherever you at around the world, whichever time zone you're at, or whichever part of the day that you're watching this video. Peace out.